Hi, this is Mr. Prather, and welcome to a TinkerCAD tutorial on making the crane that we did last week in class. Here are my recent designs from the past year. The oldest one is at the bottom, a year ago. And you see on the names, some of these have been auto-named, like the Shiny Crunk, Bodacious Crunk, the Powerful Jarv. These are all auto-saved. Every time you do something on TinkerCAD, it gets auto-saved and auto-named. So if I did want to change the name, I would just click on that shiny crunk there, and I could change name. So skipping that, we're going to go to Create New Design, and it is loading. And we see a work plane here. Our X is left to right, our Y is forward and backward, and our Z axis would be up and down, like the height. So to do the crane, the first thing we can do is take the box over here and place it on the work plane. By the way, over here we're in basic shapes now. We also have text and numbers. We can also get to other things like assemblies, components, and printable kits like a dinosaur. Printable kit would give you all the pieces of the dinosaur, the head and the backbone and legs and all that, and you put together, or a skeleton even. So we're going to stay mainly today in basic shapes. Actually, the whole time in basic shape, so go back to that. These two top ones here, by the way, before we get started, are the box and cylinder when you're making a hole, a box-shaped hole or a cylinder-shaped hole. Alright, so we pulled the box over here, and we're going to reduce the Z-axis. The Z-axis will just block this white box right here. So you would click on that, and you can type in how thick you want this base plate. So I'm going to put in 4, now it'll be 4 millimeters. Not 4 centimeters, 4 millimeters. Okay, so we can also take the boxes. This will be the X and Y boxes here to stretch it out. And we can also type in the X here and the Y, or we can just take it and pull it and then type it in. So let's put some rounded off numbers here. Let's make our base plate 50 millimeters, which is only 5 centimeters, by the way, by 50 millimeters. And again, that would be 5 centimeters. So 5 centimeters is only about 2 inches by 2 inches. Okay, so we have our base plate here, first part of our design of our crane. Next part of our crane is the upright that holds the arm. So this will be a vertical piece that rises up. We'll just go ahead and change our, you just pull it up. You see, you pull that one up too, but that is the distance we're pulling it. So let's go ahead and decide on that. Let's make that 120 millimeters, which is 12 centimeters. And let's move that over so you can see the top of it. You can also zoom in and out on our view here. Right there. As far as the X and Y on that vertical piece, let's go ahead and make that a little smaller. Let's go click on the corner box there, and these will stay put. Now we can type in 10 and 10. If you want it 10 millimeters by 10 millimeters, that's only 1 centimeter, 10 millimeters. If you see this protractor thing pop up there and the red curvy arrow there, that's to rotate this, which we don't need to do that right now. So let's just make sure we're just clicking on the 20 when it's red and type in 10. There we have our arm. Let's go ahead. I'm going to reduce the height of this crane just to make it a little easier here. Just make it 100 exactly on the height. Now we're going to put the base plate and the upright together. Now, there's 2 ways to do this. We can just take this base plate and move it into, the upright into the base plate. Or we can actually raise this up so it fits on top of the base plate. Remember, our base plate was 4 millimeters. So we like to raise this up 4 millimeters. Instead of making it 4 millimeters taller, we would use this arrow right above there. It's like a cone, actually, cone shape. And we'd raise it up 4 millimeters. Now, as I do that, at the bottom here, it was telling me how far I was raising it up. And I was able to get it at 4 right away, so I didn't have to type it in. So now I can swing this over. Another way to do the X and Y, by the way, is to use the arrow keys. So I'm going to use arrow keys right now. I'm just typing arrow keys. The left arrow, and it's moving it left. Should be X axis. I can also move it up and back this way with the up and down key. Now, let's say we want to have this perfectly in the middle of the base plate. There is a nice tool for that. We would select this by clicking out here, above and to the left, and selecting both pieces that we just made. Then we'd go up to the upper toolbar and click on a line. When we click on a line, we can either set that upright to the far left or far left right here, far right, or the middle. So let's click on middle, and it will automatically put it exactly in the middle. Same thing for the y-axis, far back, up the front corner, or the middle. So let's click on the middle. So right now, if we rotate using the right click on the mouse, we can see that it is centered. All right. So let's click off of that. We are done aligning. Now we need to make the arm for the crane. So let's bring over another box. And let's take this one more thing. Before we start making the arm, let's go ahead and put this in the back. And right now, they are separate pieces. So we need to do what's called grouping. So again, we're going to click away, upper left, and select both pieces. And you see up here where it says group, it became darker. It was grayed out until I selected two pieces there. And then as I select two pieces, I can group it. So let's go ahead and group it. Now, if I click somewhere else in the work plane, this is going to be one piece, and I can actually move this back to the back. And let's work on the arm. Okay. So the arm, let's do the X first. Click on one of the white squares on the bottom there. That's to change your X and Y. And drag it out. Let's go ahead and click in how long we want the arm. Right now it's 115. Let's go ahead and just leave that alone. And the width of the arm, which is 27. Our arm support was only 10, so this would have to be smaller than that. So why don't we make this something like 6? So it'll fit inside the arm. All right, so I'm going to zoom back in here a little bit. Now this shape has to fit in this piece here. All right, so we're going to take this piece and put it onto this piece. Now we're going to slot this piece here. We need a slot that would actually fit this arm, and a slot will have to be deeper than the arm, have to extend downward more. So two ways to do this. We could go ahead and remember that this was 6 wide, so our slot needs to be 6 wide. To do that, we would take the box and we would make a slot that is 6 wide or slightly bigger so that we have a little room. So if we make that 8 millimeters, we'd have a millimeter on each side. And what we do is raise this up and put this over and create a cutout. So let's go ahead and do it that way first. Let's go ahead. Now when we move in this right now, it's only moving the XY. It's not going up and down on the Z. To do the Z, we're going to have to take that arrow and raise it up. Okay. How high we raise it up? Well, there's the height we're raising up there. Looks like we're going to have to raise it. It was 100 and I think it was 100 tall, so 100 millimeters tall. So let's raise it up. Let's raise it up 90 and see what happens. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and use the arrows to bring it over to the left. And I'm going to use the up arrow to bring it out away from us. And you see it's right there. Looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and rotate this. Yep, that's right down the middle. If that was not down the middle, then we could do the alignment tool. And I'm going to bring this down a little bit. Make the slot deeper. It's still centered, yes. So now we can group this. And what we do to group it again is to choose both pieces. No, don't choose the arm though. Be careful not to hit the arm when choosing that. Yeah, we gotta get her. There we go. Double click on a Mac mouse to get that to come back. And we would group this. So let's go ahead and select this again. And group. And now we have this arm will fit in there. Next we would put the hole here and a hole here. For the hole we would use a cylinder. Let me back up though and say we could do this. We could also, sorry about that zoom there. We could also duplicate this arm, the original arm that we made the first time. And then once we duplicate it, let's pick it here. I can turn that arm into that. So I can hit hole here and make that arm actually whole. So I duplicate it and make one of them the hole and one of them solid. And you see I can go back and forth here. I can also change the colors. That's just, it won't print a different color on a 3D printer, but just so you can see what's going on there as you're building it, it's 2 separate pieces. All right, so let's go ahead and put this arm in place. And we could put the hole here and a hole in here, 2 separate holes, or we can do it all in one shot. So let's try to go ahead and do this in one shot here. We put the hole in both pieces at the same time. So we're going to raise this piece up. Remember, now it's not raising up here. When I do this, it's not raising up. It's just going back. So I again got to do this to raise it up. And I'm going to go ahead and raise it up a little bit, and I'm going to type in the rest of it. Let's try 100. See where that puts it at. And let's see here. That's a little bit too high there. So let's bring it down some. Sorry about the zoom in. All right, and let's use the arrow keys to bring it over. And it's too far back. Sorry about that. The zoom on a Mac mouse, Apple product mouse, is hard to get used to. I'm going to bring it towards me using the arrow keys. You can also drag it and pull it towards you, but sometimes it's easier to use the arrow keys. I'm going to spin it around to see if it's where it's at. Oh, I still got to bring it this way here using the arrow keys. I do have a gap there, which is okay. We can center, we don't need to center that, but we do have that gap there, which is good. Now the only problem I have here is, since that cutout was in the arm is the same z-axis, the same distance, the vertical distance, the same, it can't move up and down if I put a hole here. The arm can't swing up and down, so the arm needs to be not so deep. So let's go ahead and change that to 5 on the depth of the z-axis, and let's go ahead and raise it back up. Okay. Now this arm has a way to swing up and down. This cutout here has to be extend below the arm so that arm can swing up and down as it rotates. So now let's go ahead and make our hole. Bring in a cylinder. Now we get to use these little arrows here. We need to flip this thing twice. We're going to flip it. Let's try this one. Let's click on this arrow first. Click on how many degrees. You're always flipping either 90 or 180 degrees. So let's flip it 90 and see what happens. Type in 90 and enter. That was good. We also want to flip it the other way, which is this one here, and again 90 degrees. 90, enter. Now we have it going the right direction. Okay, it is back too far. Let's go ahead and bring it up here, and let's go ahead and bring it over. We will have to raise it up, obviously, too. All right, so now this hole is way too big. It's 20 millimeters in diameter, so we do have to change that. One of them is we'll change this one here. Let's make it 4 millimeters. Let's make it 5 millimeters, and let's make the hole, this one will be the other one we need to change. Make that 5. All right, now we need to raise this hole up by, again, using that arrowhead right there. We need to raise it up to about where the arm is, and we need to bring it over, and using the arrow keys. Let's bring it over till it hits the arm. Another thing we could do is bring this out further, make this longer. So this one here actually can be a lot bigger than 20. Let's make it 50. Okay, let's bring it on over. And there it goes. Looks like it's penetrating both. Let's go up. And the arm looks a little big. I mean, the hole looks a little big, but it's doing its job. Well, it might be too big for the arm, so let's go ahead and move it over a little bit this way, move it up, move it that way, okay. And we can make this actually hole a little bit, it was 5 by 5, let's make it 4. 4, enter. And on the other one, which is this one here, make that 4. All right, let's spin around. All right, now to pan, there we go. To pan this, you would use the shift key also to pan it. It looks like it's a little too low. And let's make this arm just a little deeper here so that hole makes sure the arm, let's go ahead and make this on this depth here. Let's make this like 10. All right, now we can also bring it down a little bit. Bring this down a little bit. All right, spin around, get a little closer. Oops. All right, so it's not perfect, but pretty good. Now let's go ahead and group this. We could have made 2 holes, but this is one way of doing it. Let's go ahead and group that. All right, now this is all together now since we just grouped everything. If we want to take the arm off to print it, we can't actually print it this way, except that the arm is cantilevering out. When we print it, it'll have troubles printing this arm extending out with nothing below it, because when it tries to print the bottom of that arm, it's going to have nothing for the plastic to lay on, so it's going to just dribble down. So what we're going to do is we're going to ungroup the arm here. You can also ungroup, so we're going to select the arm. We're just going to ungroup the arm only. All right, let's take the arm out. And you see we lost our hole, so we can't do that. So what we're going to have to do is, let's go ahead and bring this arm down to the ground. Boink. That's there. All right, let's go ahead and group the hole here. And remember we had a 4x4 hole, so go and group this. Group. All right, and we will now have to make the hole in the arm. So we would have to actually make this cylinder. We could have duplicated that cylinder. By the way, Control Copy is just like in Word, is Control C, and duplicate is Control D. So if I duplicated this, we wouldn't have to do this again. So I'm going to have to duplicate this. I'm going to have to flip it this way, 90, which is the Y flip. And looks like that's what we need. So now we just need to make it 4x4. So let's make this here 4. And we're going to make this one here 4. Z. And we're going to make this, let's make this longer. This one here, make it like 50 again. And we need to bring this over. So let's bring this over. And we're going to raise him up because right now he's on the ground. Let's raise him up. Let's raise him up how much you think, guys? Let's raise him up 4. Actually, I think it would be less than that. Probably like 3. Let's raise him up 3. And let's see if that looks like it's centered. Yeah, looks like it's pretty centered. So zoom in a little bit. All right. So that looks good. So let's go ahead and group. Now, when we group this, we're going to group just the hole and the arm. So we got to be careful. We're going to make the square. I'm going to click here. I'm going to make the square like that. I'm not going to. Oh, looks like it's touching that base, so that's not good. So let's click away. Let's take the base and move him out of here. Okay. Now let's go ahead and click this guy right here. There we go. Now we're going to group the hole with the arm without touching the base. So let's group that. And we're good. Now we will lay this down when we print this, so it'll be a little easier for it to make that hole right there. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this thing on its side, which would be that one right there. So hit 90, lay that flat, bring this over, and pretty much we're done at this point. We have the 2 holes. We have the arm. The only thing I'd like you to do next is to customize this arm here by making it not so square. So let's look at it from this viewpoint here. Let's go ahead and do something that we haven't done here yet. Let's take another type of shape here. Let's take a wedge shape, put it out here, and let's use this wedge shape to make this arm more fashionable, a little, not so rectangular, not so blocky. So let's go ahead and lay him down. Let's see which way we'll lay him down. That wouldn't help. Let's lay him down this way here first and see what happens. 90. And let's lay him down this way now, 90. Nope, back at 90, type too fast. 90, enter. All right, and this is good. Let's go ahead and use this to shape this arm here. I actually need to flip him again. Make him these wedge a little bit narrower. Okay, actually I want to flip him. Looks like I need to flip him that way. You can just keep flipping. I just always use 90. All right, now I'm going to make this wedge, make this arm look a little different. I want to make the arm. I could have started with a wedge and put a hole right here, but this is kind of doing it the long way. But let's say you wanted to take this arm and make a wedge out of it now. So I could take this and move this over into this, but that wouldn't help because I need to make this a hole. So we're gonna make that wedge a hole and then move it into this arm. And you see now it actually is gonna cut some of that arm off. Make it a little bigger here. And let's see, we need to make this one a little less, like that. Like a sliver. There we go. Now we have the arm go from 10 deep here, or we're going to call that, to like 5 here. So I'm going to go ahead and group this here. Go ahead and group this. And there you go. All right, so now I got the wedge shape arm. I would also like you to take maybe a cylinder here, size that, and puts the cylinder on the edges of the arm, and maybe also on the upright, on the side of the upright, and also on the side of the arm, so that you can connect your hydraulic, your syringe for your hydraulics. All right, so that's pretty much it for TinkerCAD for this part 1, and good luck. Bye-bye.